Good morning and welcome to Money Markets and Motivation with Mike. Our word of the day is bromide. Bromide is our word of the day, a trite and unoriginal idea or remark, typically intended to soothe or placate. A compound of bromide with another element or group, especially a salt, containing the anion Br, or an organic compound with bromide bonded to an alkyl radical. A sedative preparation containing potassium bromide, or a reproduction or piece of typesetting on bromide paper. That is the largest group of definitions I've heard in a long time. She couldn't help but roll her eyes at the expected bromide from her father. So that is our word of the day. Money, markets, and motivation is brought to you for information and educational purposes only. It is up to you to do your own due diligence to do what is right for you and your account. So with that, this is a heat map. Got some selling over here. Micron crushed their earnings estimates, but stock is still selling off a little bit here. Did have a big move, so we'll see how it sets up again. This is financials are looking good. Tesla and GM are bouncing. A consumer defensive. Energy continues to move up. Utilities, and that is kind of like where it is kind of green today. Intel continues to surge, and then we're going to go over to crypto. We'll make sure we got the latest, greatest, because crypto had been moving up here, and it's not really registering this account. So I'm going to pause for a second till I get that up and ready. So here we are with the crypto. Everything is green, every single one. It is trending. So that is our story with that one. We're going to stop our share for a second. If you think that the market, much like a lot of people are calling for a crash, you think that is a possibility, you might want to move a portion of your portfolio over here. This goes up when the market goes up, does not come down when the market comes down. And it just keeps ascending like an ascending base, beats index investing by about 5% per year. This is fixed index annuity. Just kind of follows the market on the up, not on the down. And you do not want to let your portfolio be split in half like happened in 2008 when the markets were down 54%. So if you're getting close to retirement or you're worried about the peak in the market, this is a good place to go. And so now we are going to move over to our charts. So this is Scholar Rock. It's up about 3.6% today. Maybe something you want to keep your eyes on. And let us go over to our indexes. This is the NASDAQ, continues its pullback. It's getting close to the 10-day moving average. It's all healthy and natural. As Mike Webster would say, here is the equal weight in the NASDAQ pulling back a little bit, down 0.29%. The S&P 500 pulls back to the 10-day moving average, off 0.37%. It's kind of high volume yesterday. We'll kind of see what the volume is today. The equal weight on the S&P is pretty flat for the day, holding right at the 10 and 20-day moving averages. The Russell 2000 pulls back to its 10-day moving average off 0.55%. Finally, the Dow Jones pulls back to the 10-day as well. Take a look at the VIX. To adjust our screen here, the VIX continues higher, up another 4.73% today, up to 1701. Here is the 10-year Treasury. It bounces from yesterday up 0.5%, and the 20-year Treasury is up 0.71% to 3.4% interest. Take a look at our bonds. Bonds are selling off a little bit as interest rates pop off 0.35, so that's selling at $890. Take a look at financials. We're looking a little better earlier. Pretty close to flat. KDWB pulls back to the 10-day moving average. Aerospace, as our planes go overhead here, is off 0.65%. Take a look at jets. Pulling back to the 50-day moving average off 0.78%. Energy got a big jump in energy, gets above $90, up 2.11%. See if we can take a look at Exxon. Has a big jump there. Chevron. It's in the pivot zone. See if we have anybody else kind of move in. PSX. Phillips Petroleum. Jumping 3.66% today. I believe this is ConocoPhillips. It is up 3.17%. See if any other one really jumps out. And I guess this is, can look at the Baker Hughes, which was in the news yesterday, or one of the stocks where people were moving into. This Baker Hughes gets up to $50. And Expand Energy, the other one is up 3.27%. So we continue on. Communications. Is falling below its 10-day onto its 20-day. Take a look at consumer discretionary. Tesla should be lifting this up. This is 0.58. Tesla getting pretty close to the profit zone, up 2.6% today. Symbol lookup is not wanting to cooperate today. I'm not sure why. Here we go. Amazon is up ever so slightly after the big drop yesterday. They have some lawsuits and other pending things that are hitting its stock. Sure why. What is going on here today? I'm going to pause for a second, see if we can get this rectified. So here is utilities. Utilities continue moving on higher. See if we can look at Talon. It's pulling back to its 10-day moving average. Vistra pulled back to the 20-day. So we'll have to see a little later what members of the utility unit are moving up. Let me just go over. Looks like NEE was a big mover this morning. Up 1.48%. And not sure if this is actually in utilities, but we'll take a look at it. Quanta Services is up, and this is still giving me a little bit of a problem. And Excel Energy is up 0.71%. So moving on. To biotech. Biotech pops out of the pivot zone here. It's up 1.10% today. And the other biotech is actually falling, down 0.36%. Real estate is pulling back 0.5%. Home builders finally get a little bit of a bounce off of the 50-day moving average, up 0.23%. On to software. Software pulls back to the 10-day moving average. Technology pulling back to the 10-day. Infrastructure pulls back to the 20-day. Semiconductors pulling back a little bit, down 0.82%. Industrials holding steady, down 0.24%. Healthcare off 0.26. Consumer staples actually getting a bounce. See if it gets to fill the gap here. Up 0.28%. Building materials continues its fall, falls below the 50-day moving average, down 0.73%. Mining and metals kind of holding steady, off 0.56%. Nuclear tried to move higher and is pulling back 0.8%. This is one of them that we have got up to 142, 145, pulling back to pretty close to 139. Was down a little further earlier, it's trying to bounce back. And finally, we have uranium. And uranium is pulling back a little bit as well. So let us take a look at what's going up on volume. We're going to first look at one that we bought yesterday. It pulled back pretty strong. It's trying to bounce back a little bit. Rocket Lab can be kind of volatile. As you can see, these gyrations. So we are going to go to the top of the screen, see where big money is flowing. BIDU, Chinese issue, up 7.39%. Got it pretty close to the profit zone and pulled back a little bit. It has definitely filled this gap down here. Daco New Energy, I believe this is a Canadian manufacturer of ingot, up 14% today. That is a pretty big jump, pretty good volume over here. Hudbay Minerals, Canadian producer of copper, zinc, silver, and gold. Pretty well extended, pretty risky to buy at this point. Up 5%. Southern Copper gaps up out of the pivot zone. Here's our method for buying gap ups. If you can buy as close to the bottom of this gap up as possible, and then as long as it holds the gap, does not come below it, you can continue to hold it. So that is that. Energy Fuels continues its skyrocketing move. It's up 4.86. Look at all this blue volume bars. Engine and airframe parts, maintenance, AAR Corporation, working on the right side of its base. This looks like it could be an early entry here. Look at all these blue towers. Earnings came in at 27% and nearly 10% earnings surprise. Baba, back in China, gaps up into the profit zone, up 8.5%. Cidara Therapeutics jumps 21%. Sure, that's related to something being improved. EOS Energy jumps above $10, up 7.8% today. FUTU, back in China, financial services company, bounces off the 10-day moving average, up 7%. So this is what Mike Webster from Investors Business Daily says he likes to buy off of when it pulls back to the 50-day moving average, and then it gets a buying conviction over here, pretty good volume. This is where he likes to buy, and he sets a low of the low over here. So that is kind of how he buys that and thinks that this is going to set up the right side of the base here before it breaks out above 200. So we'll take a look at, there's 26 items. We're not going to go through all of them. Here's an AI company that is jumping today. Nebius, pretty risky at this point. Right around 100 would have been the good buy opportunity. It's up nearly 6% today. Another biotech, Intellia Therapeutics, gets into the profit zone. We looked at Phillips 66 earlier. Rigetti continues to get buying. Pretty well extended. I'd wait for a pullback on that one. Peabody Energy. There's a couple of Bitcoin miners. Hut 8. Bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. And IREN. Look at that move. Up 16% today. And Riot Platforms got into the profit zone and then sold off as people took their profits. And the final one in agriculture, Nutrien. Pretty sloppy base here. I would say that this is a flat base. Right along here. So we'll see if it can continue higher. So that is our chart analysis for today, where the big money is flowing. Oh, here's another, before we leave, here is another Bitcoin miner. This is a Singapore-based Bitcoin miner. It's up nearly 5% today. So that concludes our chart analysis for today. And now we're going to go to our quote of the day. This is from a book, a couple of books that we have just got from the library, from Anthony Bourdain. Does travel bring wisdom? I think there is probably no better place to find out than Peru. So there you go. This has been Money, Markets, and Motivation with Mike. Hope you all have a great Wednesday. Go out there and do something beneficial to all those around you and try to bring a smile to at least one or two people as well. In the meantime, have a great day.